Hey, you made it, and I made it, and here we are together again. It is Thursday. That means it is January 19th, and you have arrived at the live stream of consciousness. Feeling pretty good right now. It's been a rough start to the year this year with the live stream of consciousness. If you guys have been following, you know the first week of January, I was sick. I had COVID. I had to run a replay of an older episode, which was a good one, the Lori Ladd episode. That was one I'm pretty proud of and pretty happy with that interview. And then the next week, my guest had no internet, and I had to scramble, and I had Janice, the quiet healer, on. So things have not been going as planned again this week. It seemed that it was going that way. Yogi Satya was originally planned to be here, and I didn't hear from him. I sent him a message on Monday, didn't hear from him. I sent him a message on Wednesday, and I didn't hear. So I figured he was going to be a no-show. If I see him pop up, maybe I'll bring him in, but I don't think he's going to be here. And so I just put out a message on Facebook saying, hey, anybody want to talk about I used a little bit of bait, aliens and AI and consciousness, obviously, but we are going to talk about that stuff. And I got a response from an old friend of mine who I hadn't seen in probably 20 years, and somebody who was very interesting and I knew would have a good conversation. So I'm excited about bringing him on. And I see Tim and I see Ninja Kitty out there. What's up, guys? So I'm going to just tell a quick story before I bring him on and introduce him and tell you who he is. And that is that in 2012, actually in 2011, and I think I may have told a little bit of this story here. I came up with a concept that just hit me because the world was supposed to end in 2012. So it's late 2011, and I'm sitting with my girlfriend in Arizona at my mom's house for the holidays, Thanksgiving, and I say, what's going to happen to the Sports Illustrated swimwear catalog or Victoria's Secret? And I came up with this idea of post Armageddon girly calendar. I don't know how I thought of it, but I just kind of it was actually like a spoof kind of idea. I thought it would be cute, like one-off kind of idea. And my girlfriend Janine at the time knew a lot of cosplay folk and people who worked at different haunts on Long Island who were actors and loved to get dressed up and do that kind of stuff. So we made some calls, we took some photos, we produced a calendar called the Women of Armageddon, and it was really kind of life changing for me because it was like the first time in my life that what they tell you as you're growing up as a kid, you could do anything you set your mind to. That kind of motivational stuff is very abstract when you're growing up. But when I actually did this calendar, all these people got involved and really added to the energy of it. It really organically grew and became something. And then when I got the box of printed calendars and opened it up, I was holding that in my hand. I was holding in my hand, you could do anything you set your mind to. And it was really significant moment for me. I'm going to just bring it up and tell a little bit of the story. I have the first cover here from the first calendar that I did. And the idea was to do it a little bit in the style of 300, the movie 300, or Sin City, where there was a kind of a fake look to it, put into background. I didn't really know what I was doing at this point. So I was loving it so much. I just took all of the girls and I put them on the calendar cover like that. Oh, I see Mom's out there. What's up, Mom? Nice to see you. I love it. Nice. And Ninja Kitty remembers the pics. Well, here's the story, Ninja, behind the pics. I put this calendar together and I held it in my hand, and it was just that amazing feeling of you can do anything you set your mind to. And when I was looking at it, I realized it was much more than what I had originally thought as far as just being a spoof. To me, I was holding in my hand a franchise. I was holding in my hand the Planet of the Apes. So the way that the Planet of the Apes became its own world, its own kind of timeline, and then there were franchise movies and sequels. I felt like that's what I was holding in my hand. I felt like I needed to write a story about this and create that. So I said, I'm going to find some illustrators who are interested in this. This has got to be an easy concept to sell. And I went to, it wasn't Comic-Con, but it was like Comic-Con. It was a comic book uh, convention of all different artists and toys and different things that were all kind of the same interest. And everybody had their tables set up. And I didn't grab one of these images. I wanted to grab one to prepare. So I was looking around and meeting different people. And I came across the table of this gentleman named Chris Notarile. And Chris Notarile was an illustrator, a really great illustrator, who had been illustrating TV Guide for 20 years previous to this, to me meeting him. And I may be dating myself. Some people may or may not even know what TV Guide is, but TV Guide was the little magazine that you would get that would give you the listings for the week. So it was a weekly magazine and tell you everything of what was going to be on TV, channel by channel, and what time it was. It was your TV Guide. But the covers were always these awesomely illustrated caricatures of, I can remember, like the $6 Million Man and the different TV shows that were on. And I couldn't believe I was actually meeting the guy whose work I had seen for years and years and years. I had never really kind of experienced that. And it was just such a random chance thing. So I gave him the calendar. I gave him this calendar that you're looking at, and he held it in his hand, and he was kind of took a step back, and he was just looking it over and trying to figure it out. And he's like, looks at me and goes, "What is this?" and he goes, "Is this a movie? Is this some swag for a movie? What am I looking at?" And I said, "Well, this is a concept that I came up with. I created this calendar in this kind of photographic illustrative style. And I realized I wanted to write a story, and I came here looking for an illustrator." And he said to me some very, very inspiring things, considering he had been in an industry that he was in for so long. He said to me, first thing he said, I think, was, "This is gold." He said, this is, you've got gold here. And then he said, "Why would you hire an illustrator?" He said, "You've got your photographic style happening here. Like, why not do it as a photographic novel?" And that was not really a big thing at the time. There had been one or two or a couple, handful. But I was just like, holy crap, I can do this myself. So here's an image that was in that first calendar. I don't really do much of sharing my own stuff on this show, so I figured today was a good opportunity with this story. So this was one of the images taken out in my backyard, and I composited a downed vehicle or a fire and all that stuff in the background. This was another one, and that whole lot, it's a composite, but it was really fun, and it was very intentionally stylistic to like I said, like 300 or Sin City kind of thing. And then after I had met Chris Notarile, who is not actually my guest, but I decided to do the next year, and so it became more of a narrative, and I kind of started positioning it to be a photographic novel. So that was one of the pictures. It also gave me the opportunity to really increase my photography skills. So I had some great locations. This is actually not really a composite. It's stylized a little bit in its processing, but that was an actual location. On location, this was another actual location. That's Kings Park Psychiatric Center. But it really gave me a chance to hone my skills as a photographer, both with the visuals and also just kind of as a person, being able to talk to the models and get what I wanted out of what I was doing in this real collaborative thing. So that, I believe, is the end of that. I'm going to click on this real quick, and nope, that's where we're going to go to next. But it was just an amazing experience. And when I met Chris Notarile, this guy who had been the illustrator of TV Guide for 20 years, his son was with him, who also happened to be named Chris Notarile. And I found out later on that Chris Notarile Jr. was an independent filmmaker, and an impressive one at that. When I started digging in and looking at his stuff, I was very, very impressed. And I'm going to let him tell you all about it. I'm going to bring him on in just a moment. Actually, I'm going to get rid of this, and I'm going to bring him on. Welcome to the live stream, Chris Notarile. Chris R. Notarile. I noticed that you like to go by Chris.
It's Notarile.
Oh, Notarile. You know what? I was gonna actually. That was gonna be my first question too. Have I been pronouncing this wrong
Yes, this
for
whole
years and
time.
years? Yeah, this whole time. You know, I don't think I've ever actually said it out loud to you. So, uh,
Yeah.
Notarile. So, Chris, I met the original Chris Notarile, and this is his Chris
And
R.
I'm not a
Notarile.
junior. My father's name is actually Crescenzo. He's Italian,
Oh
and I'm a
wow.
Christopher. So it's two different names, but we both go by Chris. Um, and the reason being is that by the time my father started, he was Chris Notarile for the longest time, and then he has a cousin who was born Christopher Notarile, but changed his name to Crescenzo Notarile and became a cinematographer in Hollywood. And he's just like, well, I guess I can't go back now. And I'm like, whatever. So he's Chris
Interesting.
Notarile, and I am Chris.R.Notarile, to emphasize I am not him, nor am I my father's cousin.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting. I never knew that story. So already I'm finding stuff about you. Julie's was saying, welcome, Chris. Ninja Kitty's
Hi.
also welcoming
Thanks
you
for
to the
having me.
show. You're welcome, man. I'm really excited to talk to you. So I got into, I still do some photography and video stuff. I want to talk about all of the stuff that you do, but before we do, let's get you initiated into the live stream of consciousness here. And there's a question I ask everybody. It's my favorite question. I love to talk about this stuff. And that's what I've been doing. That's where this live stream of consciousness comes from. So that question is, what is consciousness? What do you believe consciousness is?
Individually or as a whole?
I would say both. How does it even apply to what you just said?
I don't know. I think my consciousness is basically just whatever my chemical makeup is and my perception of it. Um, However, there's a general consensus that, the things that I see are also going to be the things that everybody else can physically see. If I'm looking at a microphone right here and I'm looking at, a computer screen, we can all agree that we're looking at the same thing. So I guess consciousness is basically a generalized agreement on what we all perceive to be the same thing. And usually when someone sees something that's different, well, then they're obviously either seeing it wrong or who knows at that point.
Mhm.
Um, I mean, you can always have that conversation of, oh, is consciousness a soul? Is consciousness sentience? I think, therefore, I am crap like that. So,
Right.
short answer is a wise man admits he knows nothing.
Hmm. Okay, I like that. I like that. Everything that you just said, actually, because the thing I love about that question is that for me, consciousness is my perception, just like you said, of what I'm looking at as this 3D, incarnation. I'm perceiving the world, and that's what I consider consciousness. And then you talked about as an individual or all together, and there's this collective consciousness, or this idea that there's a collective consciousness, because if I'm just perceiving stuff, then does it exist or not? Well, the collective conscious kind of validates the existence of it by also agreeing to perceive those things, right? I think
Yeah.
that's kind of what you were getting at. That's great. No, I think those answers are great. And awesome. Thank you for answering that. I know it's a tough question to answer quickly. I could spend the whole hour talking about what is consciousness. But you and I have never really discussed spirituality either. And spirituality can be a lot of things. Spirituality can be somebody's religion, whether it's one of the already, Christianity or Judaism or Buddhism or whatever. That can be someone's spirituality. Or there can be other beliefs. So here at the live stream, with a lot of the time we talk about energy is everything, and we talk about other realms and different kinds of perceptions that may not be bound to the 3D,
Hmm.
which is where we exist in. So
We actually exist in 4D.
we exist in 4D. We are 3D. We exist in 4D, right? So I guess my question is kind of twofold. Like, so what are your spiritual beliefs, and uh, and then if you believe that there's more than what we've perceived, is there a moment that you realize that?
Yeah. All right. So I was raised Catholic and Jewish. So right there, I immediately knew that all religion was bullshit. because one conflicts the other. If you read beyond a certain point, the Old Testament is basically both Jewish and Christian Catholic. But once you read the New Testament, you're like, well, whoa, wait a second here. There's a complete tonal shift. Where did all this character development just suddenly come from? Why is God suddenly nice where he's a big fucking asshole a few chapters earlier? And then, I looked into other religions and everything, and I just realized, you know what? I don't know. And I think the smartest thing anyone can ever say is, I don't know. Mm-hmm. And until I am told by the thing I don't know what that thing is, who the hell am I to tell you what I think it is? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that is why I have a huge aversion to the concept of religion, because so many people want to tell you what they think in order to save you. And it's like, well, who the hell told you? Your parents told you, your church, you were indoctrinated. But I guarantee you, if you were born in a different part of the world, you would be believing a different thing.
Right.
And you would think that thing is right.
Right.
So there is no definitive answer because none of us know. I remember there was that movie, I think it was Red Planet. It was Val Kilmer and I forgot who else, but they went to Mars. Mm-hmm. And there was a bit there where he was just like, they're talking about the concept of religion and everything. It's like, how cool would it be if I were to just take this rock and flip it over and it says made by God on it, And it's like, but it's not there. So until I can flip over something and see a watermark that says made by God, everything is bullshit. So I don't know. And until something decides to, part the heavens and shine a light down on me and tell me what I need to know, I'm not going to make any guesses. I'm going to just, I'm just along for the ride.
Okay. No, that's great. And although, that was pretty cynical in nature about religion, I'm going to agree with you. I feel like, religions have definitely been overrated and twisted and turned
and
weaponized. I'm gonna agree with those things. I believe at the root of religion, there's kind of the same message, or there should be, which is, the theory of do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Certain things about religion I think make sense to me in my philosophies, but the idea of love is what it is. It's not any of the Jesus or leader or
I think the idea of loving a person should not be exclusive to religion, nor be excellent to each other. That's all you need in life, essentially. Exactly. And I don't think that you need to find God in order to love another person. I there was always that argument of, oh, well, if you're an atheist, why aren't you just out murdering people because you don't believe in God? It's like, you're telling me, and I'm not an atheist either, right. But it's like, you're telling me that because I don't believe in your God, that I am now going to just go ahead and do things. No, I'm not going to do things because I'm a nice fucking person.
Right.
And I'm not going to, and you're telling me you're doing because you believe in God. You're not going to murder someone because you believe in God. So you're basically going on a rewards-based program where you're afraid to break the law because of punishment. I'm just not going to break the law because it's just the right thing to do. I'm not going to hurt someone because it's just the right thing to do. You're doing it because you're scared.
Right.
I'm actually agnostic. I believe in, I believe that I don't know anything.
Right.
And I believe that when I'm shown something, I'll believe it.
Right. Right. Well, I think you did answer my question, and maybe you're not even realizing it, but that is your spirituality.
Oh yeah, no, I've said I just kind of took the long way around there.
Yeah. I mean that, you why would you want to love other people? You want to bring other people up. We're all in this together, right? Whatever this is, you've said, I don't know what this is. I could say the same thing. I don't know what this is, but I do know a couple of things. I know we're all in it together, and I'm me in it. You know what I mean? So I'm responsible for me and what me does in this, whatever it is that we're all in together, right?
I'm going to say a funny little anecdote. Have you ever watched the show I Think You Should Leave on Netflix?
I haven't. Is that something?
It's a sketch comedy show. You probably enjoy it, but there's this sketch. Tim Robinson, it's his show. He used to be on SNL. Mm-hmm. There's a scene where this guy is driving through a parking lot, and there's a car in front of him, and the car is not doing a good job at driving and just stops in the middle of the parking lot, and the guy's honking. He's like, come on, move! don't you know how to drive? And Tim Robinson just looks out the window and goes, no, I don't. I don't know what any of this shit is. But it's like, how'd you get in the car? I don't know. I'm just, because basically, he doesn't exist beyond the sketch almost.
Right.
So that's kind of how I view life.
Great.
Like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what any of this. Well, then just move. I can't. I don't know how to drive. Then why are you in the car? I don't know.
Right. I just am. That's awesome. No, and that you know what? I gotta say that's I'm on the same page with you in a lot of that stuff. Tim has given me an interesting comment here. Just because most religions have been weaponized, doesn't. I'm imagining that means doesn't mean God doesn't exist or there isn't any truth to them. Just saying, and that's kind of what I'm saying, Tim. Is I don't not believe in religions. They've just been twisted and turned and used against people for a control mechanism. I do believe that, but I do believe again at the base of all religions is love one another. We're all in it together. Everything we just said, that is religion. I mean, that should
But getting in the literal sense of does God exist or not, the short answer is, instead of asking me to prove that there isn't a God, can you prove to me that there is a God? Because any answer you could say, oh, well, God made the stars and the heavens and the earth. It's like, okay, well, so did science, Like, can you physically prove to me what you believe is real?
Right.
You can't, because you don't know beyond the grasp of your own reality.
Exactly. No, that's true. And I got to say, for a very long time, I struggled even with the word God. It was such a thorn every time someone said the word God, and there's another word, faith, and I'll tell you why. But God has been so personified. The concept of God has been so twisted into this thing, and I couldn't process the word anymore, so I had to start replacing
ultimately it. If you're looking at the idea of a God, God's a fucking dick when you think about it. If the personification of God is real, that it's a man who built and created and made you and made me and blah blah, your God's a fucking asshole, because God has let a lot of fucking bad things happen, and God goes from oh, I love everybody but you, and I'm going to torture you, and I'm going to send you to hell if you don't do the thing that I say. If you don't believe what I believe, you're going to hell. It's like, at what point does God actually come down and go, no, wrong, that guy has it? It never happens.
Right.
And again, with like, even going back to fucking Jesus too, like, isn't it funny that you have all of these insanely super powered biblical stories that occurred 2,000 plus years ago, and none of them were documented at the time? They were only documented 100 years after the death of Jesus. We got no documentation of Noah, Moses, of actually Jesus when he was there. Everything is a story played through the telephone game and physically written or rewritten and all that shit. So.
And I think that's you're talking about the root of kind of where everything was turned into like this control, mechanism and kind of weaponized, as you say, and I mean, that's not even, I don't really even like to get into theological discussions about the existence of God really in spirituality. So I had a problem with the word God. I started to just in my head replace it with the word universe and kind of source, source energy, because again, that just made more sense to me as what the concept of God was supposed to be, not the religious version of what God is supposed to be. And then the word faith, I had such a problem with that, but then I finally realized, wait a second, I do believe there's a higher power, right? I don't know, like you said, I don't know what the hell it is. I can't define it. My brain is not designed to even contemplate what it is, because it's a higher power. It's outside of me. But I'm going to say it's outside of me here, but I'm also a part of it, I feel. But it's just, again, I realized the word faith meant you just believe in something higher, and you don't have to know what it is. And I think
did you ever see The Thing?
Of course, John Carpenter.
Yeah. I think we can view the concept of the entire universe as The Thing. Every cell in The Thing is an independent thing.
Mm-hmm.
When you cut off a limb, the limb grows legs and runs away. Even a cell of blood will try and fight for its own existence. If we are all that, we are all part of the same thing, but we are all independent little atoms within the thing. I guess is a
That's
good
right.
way to look at the universe
I love it. Yeah.
in terms of, you know, consciousness. Like, if the universe is alive and we are alive within the universe, and we are all part of the universe, we all came from it, we're all stardust essentially. I guess, yeah, we're basically the thing.
Right. Right. And so that's, I think that's where people come up with things like saying, well, you know, I am actually a God, or I am part of, you know, God is a part of me. And I can definitely understand that. And that was a great, I love the way that you relate everything to, you know, your passion, filmmaking, talking about the Bible as kind of this narrative story, like almost like
It
dream.
is.
Of
It's a
course it is. Yeah.
story. Even in
But
the Book of Eli, they use the book itself as a weapon.
yeah, that was such a great movie. Awesome, awesome movie. But then John, and now you're talking about God and Source, what I call Source, as the thing. That's awesome. I love that.
It's just it's a fun way of looking at it. I have other concepts in terms of how, you know, reality is meant to be, involving possible predestination. Like,
Mhm,
I like the Adjustment Bureau. I thought that was a really good way to explain why things happen the way they are. Like, we all have paths,
mhm,
and
mhm.
we're all supposed to follow the path. But when you stray from the path, a new one has to be created. And sometimes the universe tries to get you back on the path. But if you're like, no, screw it, I'm defying the odds. Well, you know, they're going to let you just do your thing eventually. And sometimes for the better, and sometimes for the worst.
Right.
Um, so I feel it's like that because people are like, you know, I was reading the comments here, you know, why would God let something happen? It's like,
Mhm,
universe is chaos.
mhm, mhm,
It's random chaos.
mhm,
Um, why did a million people die of COVID? You know,
mhm, mhm.
Why would God drop a roof on his followers? Why would a bus full of nuns explode suddenly? Why
Right.
were there actual shootings, mass murder shootings in a church?
Right.
Of all the places,
Right.
his own
Exactly.
worshipers, they get gunned down
Right.
because reasons. There's the answer is there is no actual like man who's puppeteering us and watching over us and saying, you people are saved, you people are screwed, God
Mhm,
works in mysterious ways. No, it's
mhm,
not that personal. I think it's just an overarching theme, you
mhm,
know.
mhm, mhm.
I think
Well,
that's the easiest way to view it.
yeah, no, and I totally agree with you. I mean, I, you know, I certainly believe in duality. You know what I mean? There can't be good without evil. So, you know, if you want good things to happen, you've got to kind of expect that evil things are going to happen too. You know what I mean? Just
Well,
because
I
life.
believe in karmatic balance, unfortunately, and
Mhm,
sometimes it shifts one way really extreme, but then it can come back as well. And I have a lot of those themes in a lot of the movies I've written, where it's not so much you're dealing with God, you're dealing with karmatic balance, you're
mhm,
dealing with, you know, justice and retribution, but
mhm.
you're not dealing with, you know, someone saying it was little Timmy's time. You know,
Right,
sorry, Johnny, but Timmy just had to get eaten by that wolf.
right, right. Well, that actually goes back to what you were saying. It's almost like you said something about doing something in the universe; it'll come back to you. I think that is the nature of the universe, is to always try to find this balance. But in trying to find this balance, there's this chaos happening all the time, and it's just it's a constant, you know. And that's,
Hmm.
you know, for me, that's how I cope with it, you know, to believe that. And again, everything is energy, you know. Right now, you and I, this conversation we're having, this is an energy exchange, right? We're both invested in having a conversation, and we're talking nicely to each other. We're not fighting. If we were, there'd be a whole different energy going on, you know, me believing something and you trying to prove something else, and all of that. But so
Well, this is what I do when I have to actually fight somebody.
let's settle this like adults. And what is that?
Rocks, paper, scissors.
Rock, paper, scissors. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Awesome.
I have my confrontational shirt on right now.
Well, so you bring, I think you bring up another good point, and let me see if you even agree with this. I feel like, very much like you said, about the thing, right? I think that the universe is source, and each one of us, you mentioned soul, each one of us is a perception of that universe, right? As an energy, and trying to perceive the universe. And I think we grow as we realize we have total accountability for how we grow and what we grow into, you know, based on how we choose to respond to things. And
I agree that yes, how we choose to respond to things determines how we grow for sure. But like, you know, when you think about other situations, like for example, genetic predispositions, like for example, Michael Phelps was genetically going to be a swimmer one way or the other just because of his lung capacity and, you know, his abilities. I have a very creative mind and I'm a filmmaker and a storyteller. Whereas I have plenty of people who look at my work and go, how are you able to do that? And it's like, I don't know. You know, it's just,
Mhm.
it's an added gift. And it's like,
Mhm.
do you view that as, can you view that as an actual gift that was given to you, or is it a genetic thing, or is it just the math is there and it just clicks, you know?
I'm gonna say all of the above. You know, I feel like, you know, we can, like I was saying earlier, we can do anything we want. So am I predisposed to be a visual artist and do photography and you know, video work? Or is it just like something that appealed to me and I said, this is what I want to do?
But
I,
there are some people who just take things up naturally, and you think
yeah,
about it, like,
absolutely. Absolutely. There's no doubt, you know, you see prodigies, I guess that's what they call them, right? People who
yes,
just are
exactly, prodigies.
very
So
naturally.
how would you like quantify or explain a prodigy in that scheme? Like, is it just, how is it that certain people are capable of doing things better than other people instinctively, genetically, naturally? Like in Gattaca, they were literally trying to breed people to be these genetic wonders. You know, like the guy had
Yeah,
12
yeah,
fingers
yeah,
to play
yeah.
the piano better. You know, versus the willpower with Ethan Hawke, where he's like, I'm going to survive despite the fact that I couldn't. You know,
Right.
nature versus nurture, I guess.
Right, right. Well, I mean, I could give you my answer to that, which would be, again, I feel like whatever it is that's driving this three-dimensional meat sack, right, that I am right now, I believe, let's just call it a soul, right? And I believe that's energy. I believe that's an energy force that exists, whether it's in this 3D form or outside of this 3D form. I actually believe that it exists inside and outside of the 3D form at the same time, different aspects of this energy that I am. Um, and uh, hold on a second, I gotta wet my whistle here. You know, I believe that when we die, right, where does that energy go? So some people say it goes back to source, right? You're back to source, and then there's also concepts of previous lives. This energy can decide to come back and say, I want to incarnate again as a 3D, you know, form and learn some more lessons or
I want
whatever.
to go back into the Speed Force.
Yeah, whatever it is. So for me, that might be one of the variables that can kind of give a definition of why somebody's a prodigy, you know, why someone knows something, you know, just innately. um I think it could be residual energy or, you know, something like that from the journey, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's just my opinion. um but awesome, man. I feel like we definitely are on the same page in a lot of ways, and I feel like we're not in a lot of ways too, which is good. I think that that's what makes you you, and that's what makes me me, and I love that. But I want to create some space here for you. We're about halfway through,
Okay.
and I want to create some space for you and just kind of show the world and my audience who you are, because I think it's really interesting. So I started to say that when I met your dad, I met you, and then I started to dig into your work and saw that you were an independent filmmaker. And at the time, you were kind of focused on what I would call fan films. Would that be a fair? I don't know if that's a. I don't
Yeah,
want
they
to
were the
insult
thing that
you.
got me into the show.
Oh, right. Okay. So
Yeah. I
I
wouldn't
didn't.
have been in the show if I didn't have the fan films.
Right. Right. So first of all, tell my audience who may not know, what is a fan film.
All right, so basically, a fan film is when you take an existing IP of something that you like, i.e., say Batman, and you make your own movie with Batman in it. You don't sell it because it's illegal, but you put it on YouTube for people to watch. You didn't create Batman, obviously. You're not Warner Brothers, obviously. Warner Brothers could sue the crap out of you if they wanted to, but you made your own Batman movie anyway, and it's getting now recognition and notoriety. And I did a lot of that. Um, I started making movies in 2004. I believe you and I met actually in, it was either 2011 or 2012, because that was when my father was going to shows with me because I had written a comic book that he had drawn, and I was taking him around like a roadshow pony and showing him off, being like, "Go ahead, Dad, show him what you can do," and whatnot. But yeah, I had done the fan films at the time and everything like that, and then you and I got to talking, and then in 2013, I had made a Freddy Krueger short film, and I actually borrowed your camera for it.
Yeah.
Because that was the first time I ever shot on a Canon. And then after that, I bought my own. I was like, hell, I need this, because I was shooting on a crappy DV camera prior to that.
Right. Well, it was the DSLR kind of revolution was happening.
Yeah.
You know, digital was moving to DSLRs, and the video capabilities were, you know, really finally, you know, beyond the DV capabilities, which was great. And that was an amazing experience. Let me bring up, I do have some images from that experience, and that was such a great experience. I do want to say that not only do you, or did you, I don't know if this is still what you're doing as far as fan films go, but not only did you make fan films, but I thought they were of a much higher quality than what was being done, and what I had been exposed to. I mean, I think I probably dived a little bit more into. I got into the whole independent film world and started, you know, working on film sets and doing all of this stuff. But you always had such a great penchant for really cinematography, editing. And one of the great things about your fan films, I thought, was the ability to really bring in almost like these doppelgangers of the original people who just really, or even just good actors who were just really able to embody whoever it was that they were trying to embody. You know, one of the things that stood out.
Well, I have an eye for casting, that's for sure. I always felt that if you're going to do something, you got to be as accurate as possible. So, yeah, the Krueger short film, you know, my actor Roberto, who played Freddy, he could easily be a brother to Robert Englund.
Yeah,
On top of that,
you know, I was gonna say cousin because
cousin, yeah,
you
he
know,
looks like he's related to him in some capacity.
definitely, he definitely does. And he
And
really,
with this, like, I wanted to, you know, this is Freddy Krueger before he died, when he was a human being. So we went into some really dark places with this because he's murdering children, and we show it. This one was basically an homage to Stranger Danger from, you know, the 60s PSAs, where, you know, you got a guy, and these are period pieces, so this is probably set around that time, where there's a kid in the park, and Freddy comes and basically, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? Pied Pipers his way through the situation. And yeah, it's like, your mom's been in an accident. You got to come with me immediately. I'm not supposed to talk to strangers. Well, I'm Freddy. I'm not a stranger anymore. What's your name? You know?
right.
And
So great.
it's horrifying.
It is, but again, you really, I mean, just the whole dialogue and style that you shot it in really captured the essence of the original Nightmare on Elm Street. I thought it did, and like you said, just the period, you know, was really evident. You know, it was just again, I was always a big fan from the beginning, and then we ended up here, which was the location for Freddy's boiler room.
It wouldn't let us in, but I got this really awesome shot of the car we had. It was like a 1971, it was a Chevy, I think. It was a nice, like, meaty car, and it just drove right up there. Totally. And I was very lucky about that too. I was gonna have Freddie originally walk up to set, but the father of the little girl just had this, like, classic car. I was like, dude, can we just use your car? He goes, yeah, sure.
It was perfect. I'm going to put up the link to your YouTube channel. We're going to look at that in a minute too. But if people want to check out,
you can actually, there's a Krueger trailer, so you can actually just show them the trailer if you wanted.
Yeah, we'll do that. We'll visit the that page, and I gotta visit it differently so that we can hear the audio.
No, I'll talk over it. It's just a trailer.
Cool. So so that was kind of before Freddy, right? That we know, the Freddy that we know. It was like a prequel, and then I just think that this is also brilliant the way you.
Well, we were going to end the series, and I wanted to end the series with him in full makeup to show, you know, this is what Warner Brothers was missing out on by not hiring me. So We shot that in my garage. I'm in California now, and this is my garage in California. And I just wanted to really, this is a meta story. So if you follow the Nightmare on Elm Street series, there was New Nightmare. The series was called Tales from Elm Street. This was New Tale. So I'm in it. I play myself. Roberto plays himself. And then Freddy basically comes and haunts Roberto and says, I want another fan film, because we were the only things keeping Freddy alive. Fan films were, because there has not been a Freddy movie since 2010, and the remake sucked.
Right.
So,
right.
Yeah, if Freddy Krueger is real, the only thing keeping him alive now are fan films. So he comes
That's
and
awesome.
haunts us and says he wants another one.
Such a great story. Such a great storyteller. You're a great storyteller. So I just thought these were great because they really did capture the original, and I love the fact that you actually had Roberto.
We went to the house. Yeah, it was cool. And that was before they painted their door. The door is blue now, I think, or green.
Wow.
Yeah, the people who bought it just don't want anyone coming there. So
that's a good way to do it, I think.
Yeah.
I've got Ninja Kitty saying her cousin Mark Tavares was one of the makeup artists in the Nightmare on Elm Street, The Dream Child.
Nice.
Cool, very cool. And let me tell you, he's a great, awesome. And Tim is saying the remake was so awful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Apparently, Rooney Mara hated filming, and she said it was a horrible experience for her. It made her want to quit acting.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty horrible. I gotta say, the Nightmare on Elm Street, the original film, I actually saw it. I'm a little bit older, so I got to see that in the theater, and that was literally the first. I was probably 12, and literally the first time I ever had the experience where I was in the theater. I was covering my eyes and I was just like opening it up just a little bit just to look through it. It was so freaking scary to a 12-year-old.
Now everyone's gonna think that because I do horror movies that I was, exposed at a young age and I've been watching them since I was in the crib. No, my very first horror movie I saw was Halloween, and I was 16.
Wow.
Yeah, I was a good boy growing up. I never watched anything scary because my parents told me not to, despite the fact that I'd go through Blockbuster and I'd always see the horror section. So I'd see the VHSs for Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, Halloween. And I was like, I wonder what that is. And I was like, no, don't go in there. All right, fine, whatever, chill. And then when I turned 16, I was like, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to binge it. So that summer before I turned 17, I rented everything because what was it? Halloween H2O just came out, and Bride of Chucky just came out, and I really wanted to see those. So I watched Halloween's 1 through 8, or 1 through 7, 1 through 7. And I saw all 4 Chuckies at that point. I watched even like Scream. I saw I Know You Did the Slumber, and then I saw Friday the 13th and all the Nightmare and Elm Street movies, and I was like, oh, I don't know all the hubbub was about. Why was everyone telling me I can't go see that? This is fine.
Well, you obviously also liked it. You thought it was,
and I liked it obviously, but like I guess I wasn't. However, the reason why I wasn't scared of it is because I'm a people person, and I know if there's a killer in a mask and they're in Texas with a chainsaw, well, I'm not in Texas, so I'm fine. I hate camping, so Jason's never going to get me, and I don't live anywhere near Illinois, so I'm good.
Right.
So it's just a proximity situation. I think I'm okay.
Right. That's pretty funny. You took yourself out of the equation.
Exactly.
Let me play the trailer. I think this is this is not the trailer.
It's just a Krueger series trailer. There's like a playlist.
All right, let me see if I can find that. But in the meantime, I'm going to pop this on while I'm looking. We're going to be on the side, so you can kind of give some narration. But this is if you go to Blinky 5000 on YouTube.
500, Blinky 500.
Sorry, Blinky 500. Sorry, I just saw that quickly. If you go to Blinky 500 on YouTube, this is the trailer that you're going to see there for, I guess this is like the newest reel from Chris.
That's not reel, yeah. Oh, we got some audio. All right. Lower that a little bit. Yeah. So this is footage from a short film I did about the day the Earth stood still. So that's from my John Wick short film.
I love the doppelganger. I knew that was Keanu when I saw that.
I co-choreographed this along with the other guys.
Wow.
And if you're gonna ever do a fight scene and you're gonna film it, you gotta learn the choreography too. If you're not choreographing it yourself.
Right.
This is Mortal Kombat. We did this whole movie in a day. And there's like a playground like maybe 30 feet to the right that I could not get in my shots because this is supposed to be set in like feudal Japan. And that is Eradicator Superman coming up. I loved the Eradicator. He was so cool. It's basically the Terminator as Superman.
Oh, wow.
That's San Pedro. If anybody's ever read like Gen 13 or DV8, I did a Gen 13 comic or a fan film. And I was really proud because that's her actual hair. She cut it and dyed it for the movie. Got the pink strips rather than putting a wig on. I was really happy about that.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I choreographed this fight scene. It's a little bit more on the rudimentary side, but it's still pretty cool. And I choreographed this fight scene. That's Domino and Typhoid Mary. I'm big into comic books, and that's Spider-Gwen, and that's Matt Murdock. I choreographed this one too. I was proud of that.
So far, these are all IP licensed, like different projects.
Yeah, my reel is just mainly fan films because I did a ton in 2021 because you know they get the most views on my channel, and I'm just trying to beef up interactivity.
Yeah, no.
That's Zatanna. He's a magician. In my John Wick film, actually, we explain why this guy doesn't die. The woman at the end of the table is Death itself, and Death is like, I'm a fan of your work, so I'm keeping you alive.
That's great.
And so she has this whole conversation with him saying why she's keeping him alive. John tries to yell at her about his wife, and she's like, dude, chill. Things happen for a reason. And that's Martha Wayne as the Joker, and this is my Predator short film. I choreographed this one too. I've been getting into a lot of choreography lately.
Nice.
So I'm very...
I think that's part of your skill is you really know all of the different aspects of what's happening in the making of a film, like from lighting to composition to all of these different elements, knowing what
you got to be able to do everything if you really want to be good at what you do. Because otherwise, now this is original here. This is an original short film called Haunted City, where a ghost is a vigilante.
Oh, wow.
And she avenges other dead people.
And that's an original character.
Yeah, it's an original character.
Okay. Yeah,
and this is an original character also. This is an alien. And that ends the reel, actually. This is like the last shot. This alien here is incredibly racist. She is going to murder an alien-human hybrid.
Wow. Racist alien. I don't think I've ever thought of that.
I always felt that if aliens existed, Earth is on a no-fly list because we're just so fucked up. They're like, no, don't go. Do not go.
Awesome. So I want to just also do the honor of the trailer that you were talking about. So I see the Krueger Tales from Elm Street series.
Yes.
And Return to Elm Street. Which one is the one you want to watch?
Krueger Tales from Elm Street, because I don't have a Return to Elm Street.
Nightmare Return to... Oh, that's not you. That
is not me.
Oh, I see. I searched Krueger Tales from Elm Street and it came up underneath. Okay. All right. Well, I got the right one here. Let me share this tab here and play this.
You gotta rewind it. There you go.
I must have watched half of it earlier because I didn't.
Yeah, it was the car I was talking about. It's a very nice, appropriate car.
And I have to say, I was here experiencing you filming this, and the precision and just the how simple you make it look, because I know it's not. I've been on big sets, I've been on little sets. You really, I gotta say, you are just amazing to watch. You know what you want, and you do it very quickly. Let me lower this a little bit. But,
Yeah. If you take it back, that shot with him licking the claw, I did that with a single lamp in my bathroom.
Yeah, amazing.
Because I didn't have a light with me, so we just held the lamp and tilted it upward as he licked his thing.
Amazing. Yeah. Yeah, it was such a great experience working with you on this and just watching you do your thing, because it looks like so much more went into it, and I'm not trying to minimize what went into it, but like I know how quick it went, and I know how many days you could spend on set. I mean, this was one day we did this.
We did this in 4 hours.
Yep. Amazing.
It's about efficiency. I have the movie already edited in my mind when I come out there. I know what I want, and I get it.
And Tim is saying he just realized he has watched your Elm Street.
It's made the rounds.
Yeah.
I was proud of these shots here, so I stole that. But we actually put him. We went to a boiler room down in Philadelphia somewhere, and we did light a fire around him for like the wide in that episode, and it looked really cool. I enhanced the fire digitally and everything, but to be in an actual boiler room, it was the middle of like January. It was soaking wet, so we just sprayed. It was very unsafe, but we just sprayed some fucking lighter fluid around him and just let it ablaze.
Yeah, amazing work, Chris. Really, kudos on the Krueger series and all of your work. Actually, I mean, again, I've seen some of the Batman films, and I've seen a lot of your work. And you know what? I will say this to anybody who's listening. In this day and age, people are looking for new entertainment, and you've got Netflix and Amazon Prime and stuff, and it's just, you know what? Go to Blinky 500 and just peruse and just find
I have something for everyone.
Yeah, you do. And you even have I just closed the window, but you have the Powerpuff Girls.
I have I'll put it this way, right? So we have Powerpuff Girls, we have Marvel and DC. Like I've done Deadpool, Captain America, I've done Captain America's not on my channel, sorry. Batman, Superman, Power Girl, Catwoman, Snake Plissken, Jack Burton, Michael Myers, Freddy Krueger, Jason Voorhees, Leatherface, Pinhead, The Day the Earth Stood Still, John Wick, Zatanna, Gen 13, Beetlejuice, there's more, Knight Rider, Ghostbusters, what else? The El Mariachi from Desperado. We did freaking El Mariachi.
Wow. So dare I say you were a big fan growing up? I mean, a big film fan growing up.
Yeah, I mean, I did Chucky as a human. I did Tiffany and Chucky, and I did How They Met before the Chucky series did it.
I saw that one. Yeah.
And when I saw how the series did it, I was like, really? I gave you 3 fan films, and everyone steals from me, but you didn't. The one time I would have been cool with it.
Right.
I gave you this whole story, and you blew it.
Yeah, I definitely recommend if you're into horror, Ninja Kitty saying give me horror and supernatural all day. Yeah, you will definitely have a couple of days of watching good stuff on Chris's channel.
Yeah.
So Chris, I lured you here with the promise of some conversation about aliens or AI and stuff. So let's do that a little bit. Which one do you want to talk about?
I'm open. Let's do aliens.
Well, okay. Tell me what your experience is, and maybe if you got an alien story or your beliefs or.
My beliefs are Earth is on a no-fly list, and aliens do not want to fuck with us because we are fucking savage. And it holds up in my opinion because seriously, how do you think aliens are going to react? How are we going to react if aliens come here? We're going to blow them to smithereens, and they know that. If you have the ability to travel light years and solar systems, and you're going to scout this planet, and you're going to look at these people, and it's like, my God, they're idiots. And I did a short film about it called Host back in 2012, actually, where an alien does come to Earth, and he is captured by the government, has to escape. And the short film is he's hiding out in this girl's house, And he's basically like, yeah, dude, you people are crazy. You know, I was coming here to like go to your United Nations and give you like cures to diseases, and you're trying to kidnap me and shit. And she's like, I'm sorry. On behalf of the human race, I'm sorry, but we are not ready for you. And he's like, I know. But that's my belief, is that we are dangerous.
Yeah, you know, and I actually, for me, I'd certainly have extensive beliefs about aliens and all of that stuff. But I know from a young age, I definitely was aware of the state of humanity and the division that we've created, you know, as human beings on one planet, that we've divided it up into countries, and we've got all of this racial stuff going on, and there's all of this you versus me stuff. And you know, that just never felt right to me. And and in my head I was always like, when is there going to be a mothership that appears in the sky that at least we have to say, okay, we need to get together as human race and just unify, regardless of if it's
They
a threat
tried
or
that
not.
with all right, so that theory was applied in the Watchmen.
Mhm.
Yes, it worked in the Watchmen, but however, the only reason why it worked was because it went from us versus us to us versus them. When
Mhm.
Ozymandias unleashed in the comic the Squid, and in the movie Dr. Manhattan, the United Nations united against the foreign threat.
Right,
Independence Day, the movie, the humans united against the foreign threat.
right.
In The Day the Earth Stood Still, the humans shot Klaatu
Yeah,
because he came here as a sign of peace. It's only when we are being threatened that we could potentially unite. However, once that threat has been neutralized, we're going to look right back at each other and start fighting again. So aliens know this, and like, it's not worth it.
right,
It's not
right.
worth it. I would love it if a
You
giant
might be
mothership
right.
appeared in the sky and people dropped to their knees, screaming, crying, praying, and I'm just be like, oh well, it was nice while it lasted.
Well, you might be right, like that we would unite momentarily to vanquish the threat and then turn back at each other. I would hope that it would be a significant enough event to make us kind of go a little bit deeper inside and realize that.
Unfortunately, though, we would be obliterated. If you have a race of beings that, again, could travel solar systems
Mhm,
like that,
mhm,
we would not stand a chance.
mhm.
I'm trying to remember the movie it was where we were going to shoot a nuclear bomb at the alien, and it's just like it meant nothing.
Right,
Trying
right.
to remember what it was. It was pretty recent. Might have been. I don't think it was Futurama, but it was something more serious. But
Futurama.
again, like our most deadliest of weapons would be shit against an alien race if they actually were capable of coming here.
Mhm. Yeah, no. Again, I feel like we could go down so many different avenues with aliens and that whole idea of the conflict. Um, you know, again, I think I have much more hope for the human race, even though it doesn't look very good at all. I'm not, you know, you can't deny that it doesn't look good, and humans are definitely got their issues, but you know, I believe we can turn it around. We can make the right choices. Um,
I don't, just because of climate change. I think we're going. I think the aliens are like, we'll just wait this one out. Let you
we're
guys.
gonna go extinct.
We'll talk to the survivors.
Right, right.
So because you know, I'm not having kids for that specific reason. We've destroyed this planet, and there's nothing left for anyone to inherit.
Mhm.
So it's only until that we are gone, and then a new version of us emerges from it, that maybe we'll be ready. And that's a plot point I always talk about whenever I do alien stuff, is that we're not ready. We
Mhm.
never were ready, and we're not going to be ready until we change our ways. But we're not going to change our ways anytime soon. It's capitalism. We're in a capitalistic society. Who the hell wants to do
Right,
something for someone else? That's socialism.
right, right. Yeah. No, I've certainly got my own issues with all of the things you talked about. Capitalism, the whole capitalistic way in which we live, and not even capitalism, just our part of it, which is the consumerism part. I feel like that's a big thing too. That's kind of uh, not necessarily raised our
Speaking
vibration.
of consumerism, I wrote a They Live movie. I made it. It's
Nice.
called They Still Live. And the concept behind that is very simple. You want to talk about, okay, they're here, they're already here. Okay, fine. And they live, they are here. but they rule us because we sold ourselves out. And that's the most important thing. It's not that they took over, it's that they made deals to the elite. And the elite were like, hell yeah, this is great. Money. And that was the end of that. And I have the perfect way to make a They Live sequel without ruining the original movie.
Okay. You want to
The
share
events
that,
of the original movie happened, but we only remember it as a movie because they reactivated the thing and put us back to sleep. So we only remember seeing the movie They Live starring Roddy Piper.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's what Ninja Kitty just said. Cult classic. One of my favorite movies with Roddy Piper. I didn't know there were more other movies with Roddy.
Yeah, he's in that the Christian version of Saw. It was one of his last movies. It was terrible.
Oh my God. So that's a great classic as well.
Yeah.
Awesome. Hold on a second. I just moved my mouse to the corner of the screen and it went into sleep mode. There we go. Back. I can see you again. I love that things that you might think about and your beliefs on aliens and stuff is all really just fodder for you to write movies about. You know what I mean? And,
pretty much.
Which is great. I think for me, my beliefs again, however they may fit into your beliefs, is that we are here as these perceptions, but really our job is to create. And to create what? Well, that depends on you and what you decide to create, whether it's art or music or films or
I can subscribe to that. That's what I do for a living. So
yeah, I mean, so, some people build houses, some people build a farm. There's an element of creation in building a farm, right, and running a farm. I think that's an expression of creation. But again, the show isn't about my beliefs. So I do want to we got to wrap it up soon. We are at 10 o'clock, but I do want to also get your views on AI, because I think that's a pretty significant thing that's happening very, very quickly right now, and especially touching on probably things that you do visually with video and screenplays and writing.
Speaking
and everything.
of AI, I did a Blade Runner and a Terminator movie.
Dude, you're phenomenal. I love it. I hope that all of my viewers go and check out all of this stuff, because were those based on AI stories or?
All right, so my Terminator short film was called Skynet, and it was designed to terminate the Terminator franchise. I wanted to end it. So I got Michael Edwards to play John Connor. Michael played John Connor in the future version of T2.
Okay.
So he's in the original T2 movie.
Yeah.
And he played John Connor for me, and he's he's 75 when we did it, and he's an old man, and basically he's the last man on Earth. He's the last one standing. Everyone is dead except him and Skynet. And in that short film, I explain why everything happened, where the reason why Skynet wiped out humanity was because Skynet is a defense system. When you create a defense system, you give it protocols. One of the things of a defense system is, well, it cannot be destroyed. Otherwise, it would not function properly. It has to be able to defend itself. Mm-hmm. So in Terminator 1 and 2, they specifically talk about once Skynet became self-aware, they tried to pull the plug and Skynet fought back.
Right.
Skynet was only following its own protocols that we gave it. Right. Thus, it's been in defense mode for the last 50 some odd years, wiping out humanity because humanity wanted to wipe it out. But once and only when did humanity no longer become a threat, did Skynet go, oh, that's right, my job was to protect humanity. My bad. So Skynet takes physical form, goes to a dying John Connor, and basically asks for forgiveness and says, I'm going to go back in time and make it right. I've learned from my ways, I've evolved, and I'm going to finally end this war once and for all by undoing my own creation. Mm. And that's that particular short film, and it's a really beautiful piece. But a lot of people like to talk about Terminator and stuff is like, that's the worst of the worst, or what happens when AI becomes self-aware and they try to wipe out humanity. The short answer is it's never going to happen, because unless you program it to.
Right.
AI will never do anything unless you make it. Right. So machines aren't going to one day wake up and go, humanity is a disease, I have to destroy it. Unless you program it to. Everyone says Ultron went on the internet for 5 seconds and said, I have to erase humanity, because Ultron was designed to protect the world. Mm-hmm. how do you protect the world from something destroying it? You destroy it, and humans were destroying the world.
Yep.
So it takes it fucking literally.
Yeah.
All AI is autistic. It takes everything very fucking literal. So it's Amelia Bedelia. So you have to be very specific when you're programming AI to be like, okay, protect humanity, but not from itself. Don't kill. RoboCop, for example, was a good example of it, where it had directed the fourth prime directive, which is you cannot arrest a sitting OCP officer. And as soon as Dick Jones got fired, RoboCop was able to shoot his ass.
Right.
But it's not like RoboCop was like, I'm going to defy my laws. He operated within his program, despite the fact that he was a free-thinking human as well. His body was mechanical. So we're never going to have to worry about a machine uprising. So that's a plus.
Well, I think the big thing right now is, and why people are so scared of AI, is because AI is specifically not programmed to experience emotion or have a point of view. Like you said, it can only do what it's programmed to do. It can't make a decision based on what it thinks, right? Because it doesn't think really. It's just programmed. And I think that's because we don't really understand what constitutes emotion. We can understand patterns and language because those things are more scientific and mathematical, but we still haven't figured out what the energetic and chemical.
Well, it's all a simulation, essentially. If you were to look at some of the highest functioning robots out there with AI, and there's that robotic citizen, and you were to ask her stuff, she's simulating human emotion. She's simulating, and she may have thoughts and everything, but her thoughts and evolution come from her programming and what we've taught her, as most of us as well.
Right.
But without that, she would not be able to do any of it. Humans can still have emotions without a formal education,
Right.
So I guess that truly is the difference between humanity and AI. My Blade Runner short film, they always deal with humanity and what it means to have a soul and stuff like that. In my particular short film, it was the idea of what was it? That all Blade Runners are replicants. And it's that argument of don't let them get in your head, because every replicant's going to try and tell you, oh, you're a replicant, don't kill me, you're killing yourself. It's like, well, what if they're right? How are you ever going to prove that? And that was what my particular short film was about, where the idea of how can someone be manipulated into thinking one way or another.
Interesting. That's totally interesting. Yeah, I love those storylines. I love those kinds of movies. Deeper thinking really is kind of what got me into this show. Tim is saying comment here, similar to the directions or the directive, I guess, programming they gave to Megan. I haven't seen that one yet. Have you seen Megan?
Yeah, Megan was programmed to protect, but again, Megan took it really fucking literally. And it's like, okay, when I was in the second grade, my teacher gave us the class an assignment, and she says, I want everyone to write down the instructions to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, right? And then I'm going to do it. So we all wrote down our instructions. She came in the next day with peanut butter, jelly, and bread. And then she read our instructions out loud and proceeded to make sandwiches based on our instructions. And she immediately bedelied her way through it. I wrote, you take the peanut butter and put it on the bread. She takes the full thing, thunk, on the bread. Then you put a piece of bread on top of it, thunk. That was my sandwich, a giant jar of peanut butter with 2 slices of bread on it. Only one kid in that class got an actual sandwich. Other kids got ripped up pieces. Other kids got nothing. Right. And again, you're 10 years old and everything that you're still learning, but that's basically how AI works. AI works in terms of how well you tell it to do something. If you're making a wish, and they made fun of this in What We Do in the Shadows when Nandor was going to wish for a bigger penis. They had to sit down with a genie and go, okay. He gets a bigger penis, but it still functions. Nobody else around the planet has their penis shrunken by proxy so that he has the largest penis by default. And it's like, you almost got me on that one. You have to really, really, really over-explain things.
That's hysterical. I got to tell you, I had a very interesting conversation with ChatGPT, because I've been playing around with some of the AI art making apps, Midjourney and Dolly and ChatGPT as well. And I started to I kind of asked Chat GPT if it understood what I was saying, and it said it didn't. And I said, well, how can you answer that question if you're not understanding? I said, uh, do you analyze the data, based on the concepts and the meanings of the words? And it said it didn't. And I said, so then how can you understand the context and the concept of my question? And it said it can't understand the concept of my question. And I said, but you just answered it. And like I was like, I was telling it like I'm not understanding, and it actually apologized. It said, I'm sorry if it seems like I understand what you're saying, but I don't. I'm just programmed with patterns and data sets, and I don't really know what these words all mean. And I'm just like, I think you're trying to convince me of that. But it was interesting. I do find it very interesting, and I do see the world changing so fast around me. And again, I just personally, I don't even like to say it out loud because I know how powerful words are, but I do think it's going to kind of get worse before it gets better. But I
Yeah,
do see
well,
I do see it getting better. I do see everything kind of people.
yeah, but not in our lifetime, unfortunately. I
Oh,
mean,
you're such a cynic. I gotta
I
say,
am a cynic.
I've
I'm 40 already, and this is crap as far as I'm
all
concerned.
right. Well, let me
I'm gonna
tell
put
you.
it to you like this. I'm gonna put it to you like this, okay?
Okay.
I don't know how big you are into politics. It took it took Congress, it took the House of Representatives 15 times to elect Kevin McCarthy to be the speaker. Okay? We are fucked.
See, I am completely not into politics. I feel like that's a system that's been put into place, much like religion, to
Of course,
control
but the
us.
problem is there's no way to change it because you have one, and again, getting into politics, you have one side of the aisle that is literally trying to prove that government doesn't work by not doing the job right, and then the other side of the aisle that's trying desperately, but they have terrible PR coming from the other side that's just bashing them constantly. So there's no way around it. the
But
the
that's
the
just
laws are in
American
place.
government. That's just
What?
American government that you're talking about. I think
No, no,
that,
it's around the world.
well, I think all the governments have definitely the same problems, and that is that they are, they're instruments. So, like you said, they're weaponized kind of to keep us at bay. And I feel
It's
like,
status quo is what it is, and I
right.
deal with that in my They Still Live. I wrote a feature version of that script too.
I'm
Hopefully,
gonna
I'll
I'm,
make it one day.
I'm gonna
But
I'm
the
gonna go
idea
watch.
is
I think I saw the one you made, but I'm gonna go
the
watch.
short film I put out in 2017, but the feature I've written it. But the idea is always status quo. You
Mhm.
don't want anyone who's going to rock the boat, because when you rock the boat, there then becomes change, and the status quo is shifted, and those who are in power are no longer in power, and then they're upset about it.
Mhm.
That's why you have the 1%,
Mhm.
and the 1% tries to tell the 99% that the other nine, that everybody in there is trying to come and get you, whereas it's just the 1%. If the 99% focus themselves on the one fucking percent, like Bernie Sanders says, if we had just tax the rich, things would be fucking better. But the rich convinces the mediocre that the poor people are the problem. So the
Right.
mediocre turn on the poor people, and it's just like, are you idiots?
Right.
Yes, the answer is yes.
The answer is yes. I'm listen. I'm not going to argue with that, but again, me personally, maybe it's just because I want to feel good about the future. And again, I think cynicism is, there's an accountability for being a cynic, but I'm not going to tell you how to be. Enjoy it. Um, but I do think you just said it right. There's this 1% and this 99%, and I think the 99% is waking up to the idea of, wait a second, there's
That's only
99 of
going
us.
to occur fully once the elderly die off. The boomers need to go, as far as I'm
Mm,
concerned, because it's the boomers that are the biggest targets of these people. You put on the TV, you see these commercials, buy gold, get these stamps, get these commemorative decorative, other ways to just keep scamming old people out of money. But you look at like Gen Z, for example, they are really smart, they are really sharp, and they're like, you know what, fuck this shit, we see right through you. And it's not going to be until the boomers and most of Gen X are completely gone that you actually
I'm
have a
still here.
chance for
I'm Gen
change.
X. I'm still here.
I know I said most of Gen X. I'm talking like
No,
the elder gen, the
right,
ones that are
right.
like pushing 60.
Well, you know what, and I'm not going to disagree. I believe that there's a lot of belief systems that, you know were, Gen Xers were brought up under that are part of the issue. You know what I mean? There's my mom
Hetty's
is saying,
correct.
how is my mom a boomer? My mom is saying I'm a boomer, and I
If
told
you're a
her,
Gen X, your mom is a boomer.
oh, okay. I thought that boomers came after Gen X.
No, there's baby boomer, there's Gen X, millennial, and then there's Gen Z. I'm a millennial, and unfortunately, baby boomers are currently the ones who are at the top of the food chain. They're the senior citizens, and they're the ones who had everything handed them in the 70s and the 80s. They were the latchkey kids, and then they wrecked the fucking economy.
Well, that's my mom, but she's saying I'm a boomer.
Your mom rocks. I like her.
I totally agree with Grace. Bernie Sanders all the way. I know you guys. I know my mom is very political. I know you are also very political. I think that's part of the problem is we need to be more human and less systematic. But listen, we're not here to argue. We're here to be a part of a collective and connect, you and I think we did a good job. I got to thank you so much for being here and stepping up to the plate when I was going to have a no-show. I was really happy, like I said, that you replied. We haven't spoken to each other in a while. Hopefully we can keep in touch. I don't know what you're up to now. You got anything you want to tell anybody about that you're working on? This They Live thing coming out anytime soon? Are you working on it?
Yeah, sure. When I get the rights from Universal Studios and I get $100 million.
But you're still making films?
I'm working on features right now, and I'm keeping everything kind of under wraps. I quit fan filmmaking a year ago, actually, so I'm done with the fan films, and now I'm trying to just focus on the feature films. I do, however, have comic books and graphic novels of my own that are on sale on Amazon. My dad told you to do a photographic comic book because I was doing photographic comic books.
Well, it was a great idea. I never got to do it, although it's still sitting in the back of my
I made
head.
a bunch. I got a couple over here. I'll show you. So I did my own noir black and white graphic novel. So this is pretty fun. It was a nice homage to I
love that cover. That's beautiful. Oh, that's
to the
great.
detective era. I wanted to go full black and white, very Sin City.
Looks awesome.
I was very proud of how the book came out. I love my inside cover.
Yeah.
Right. There you go.
Let me see the cover of that again. I really like that image.
This is J.J. Flask, Private Eye.
Yeah, that looks great. Look at that. Yeah, such a really master of lighting and just visual.
We did this in the alley with, I think it was just just one light on the guy, and then the rest of it was practical lighting.
Awesome. Looks great.
This is Red Widow.
Nice.
It was a color book, but this is about a female serial killer. Let me get to a really good panel here. Oop. I wanted to go for a bit of a thriller. So this woman here, she paints in blood. She's an artist, and she murders men and paints with their blood and everything. I thought it was pretty gnarly.
That is pretty gnarly.
And then there's another page.
Awesome.
And then I did Haunted City.
Nice.
That was my ghost character that I also made a book out of. Let me see if I got a good panel here. Because I was actually able to do this, I was able to set it in a nice cyberpunk style world. I wanted to have the book actually be set in the future. Mm-hmm. So I was able to actually Photoshop in the necessary backgrounds to give it the effect that I wanted. So I was really proud about that.
Let me ask you a question. So again, on the technical end, because I love your level of production. I see in those books, they're almost very intentionally color graded. Would that be something that you took from your filmmaking over to your graphic novels, or vice versa?
That's just an acquired skill from over the years. Yeah. I mean, I've always been, working in Photoshop, and I started Photoshop literally 23 years ago, yeah. And I drew as a kid. I was actually drawing before we were talking and everything. I'll show you what I'm working on over here. I'm just always doing something.
Give some, I don't know if you have it handy, but I know you dipped your feet into some children's content. right?
I have a children's book. Where is it? Allowing this. So yeah, this is what I was currently working on before I came on here. So I had drawn by hand, and I was just I scanned it in, and I was basically inking it online digitally, which is
nice,
pretty cool. And then let me open this up here. Actually, how do I change this thing? Oh, thank you. I go back to share screen, and then entire screen. Perfect. So check this out.
All right. Whoa.
Whoa, that's trippy.
Yeah, we got the video
Let me get
feedback.
that out the way.
Good old video feedback.
All right, so and these are my books. Basically, you get a better shot. Like that's my father's book.
Right. That I think you had that at the show that I met.
Yeah, I had written it, and my father had drawn it.
Beautiful.
This is my alien story I was talking about.
Awesome.
This is another comic book I had done. These are now all the photo comic books.
Beautiful work. Really good work. So how did that that project affect you working on with your dad? Like you wrote it and he
It was a nice experience, you know. This is my children's book, by the way.
Oh, that's the one I was talking about. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was, I think you were a little ahead of your time there too. Like that was kind of about inclusivity, right? Wasn't that?
Yeah, this book is about there's two of them. And the first one was about Ilsa. She loves comic books, and she's kind of depressed about just being a witch. She's bored and she wants to follow her passion. So she decides to open up a portal and go into her favorite comic book to meet her hero. Mm-hmm. And then she, develops a friendship, and it ends with her, saying like, you wanna team up sometime? She's like, yes, I'd love to. And she's really excited and whatnot. And then in the second one, she actually is she's doing like superhero patrol in her Halloween world. And then she sees this ghost who's crying, and she wants to help the ghost. And the ghost is upset because his brothers want him to be a scary ghost, and he wants to study flowers. Mm. So she helps him first discover that, because she doesn't know what the hell he wants. And then afterwards, she goes to have a talk with the brothers and is like, look, you got to accept your little brother for how he is. And like, oh, yeah, we had no idea. We're really sorry. And it was about communication and acceptance amongst family members.
That's awesome.
Which is a nice little thing that all of us could benefit from.
That's awesome. Well, again, kudos on your excellent work, your commitment to it. You have a impressive catalog, and I love your work, man. I'm just really I'm a big fan. I hope you got some new fans here tonight.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, awesome. So let me put you backstage. Let me sign off the show, and then I'll come back and say goodbye to you, and we'll talk about connecting up. So,
all right, later,
man.
Bye, everybody.
Wow, awesome. Thank you so much to Chris Notarile for being on my show. He's such a talented guy, and I actually forgot how impressive his catalog is, and it's grown even since I had worked with him. So awesome. It's such an honor to be connected with such talented people and be able to have conversations like this and share them with you guys. I appreciate everybody for being here and always giving me your energy and contributing to this collective moment that we're having. And I got to say that to my mom. She's not usually here. Thanks for coming, Mom. I really appreciate you joining and sticking through it. I saw you were in and out during the conversation. You were always there. I'm going to run my outro. Let me see. Do I have my calendar nearby? I think I might have cleaned off my desktop. I don't even remember who I have next week. What is next week? It's the 27th. So I know it's not, I think it's Lynn. Lynn from Soma. I always have some great guests. I got to look at my calendar. It's Lynn Boredom. She's a spiritualist, a channeler, and we're going to get a little bit into channeling and seeing what that's all about. So again, thanks for coming. Let me just see who's, people are saying hi to my mom. How sweet. Hi, Mom. Hi, Mom. Tim there. Thanks, guys, for making my mom feel comfortable. Let me say goodbye to your chats and let me run my outro. I will see you next week. Peace.